Okay. The format for this meeting is a 10-minute speaker, our secretary's announcement, a coffee and snack break, and our main speaker. Our first speaker for tonight is Mike C.
Mike Alcoholic. Thanks for setting up, whoever did and opened up the doors for us, and welcome to all the new people. This is a gift that we have here in, what? Microphone? You guys can't hear me? All right. Yeah, you're good. Anyway, welcome to this amazing life, man. This program has transformed my life. It's the best years of my life, the highest quality of my life. And it took decades to get there. I only got 10 minutes, so I'm just going to condense it down. I started coming to meetings when I was really young. My parents were both alcoholics, dope fiends, and my my upbringing was I grew up in San Pedro, and it was like a lot of you guys, a lot of trauma and drama and madness, and I never really felt like I hear in a lot of meetings. I just never felt comfortable in my own skin. I always felt like an alien, The drugs and the alcohol actually, for the first time, made me feel, I guess, normal or whole, and I picked up pretty young. I think it was about 9 or 10 years old. And I got my kids. I got kids, and I look back, it's just crazy, man. It was a different time. But anyway, growing up felt different. All the usual stuff: getting in trouble, getting kicked out of school, going to jail. And my mom got into recovery. She went into a rehab I was probably around 12 or something, and she took me to my first meeting in San Pedro at the Zigzag Alano Club, which I thought was great. It was filled with some characters. It was dingy. It was down on Pacific, and I don't know. Even that first meeting, I felt like comfortable in there, and I felt that energy that we feel in these meetings. You had, gangbangers, longshoremen, there was this trans lady there that was very spiritual, man. She was heavy. Yeah, Contessa was her name, and she was good, man. She had some recovery. And so, I got in there, and I heard a lot of stuff, that I'd never heard before. I thought I was the only one that had these crazy thoughts and this hamster wheel that we have. And, and I always came back for many years. My first rehab, I was 17, and I gave it kind of a shot. And, but, and I got a sponsor and all that, and I customized my program. I'd always do it as Mike sees it instead of as Bill sees it, and I'm going to pick and choose what I'm going to do, and I'd get my stuff together, and I'd be like, I'm good, man. Why would I need to keep doing this, man? Look what I did, and I'd go out, Mark Houston calls it the rebuilding of the ego, I think, which happens when I don't do what's suggested around here, And so I played with it for many, many years. I could never get any real time clean and sober because I wasn't willing to do the work, And I'd always start off with a bang, and just, I'll do anything, and as soon as I felt good, I'd be out the door. And I see that a lot with the guys I work with now. I've worked with a lot of guys, and unfortunately, a lot of them are dead or in prison because of that, and God let me live through decades of relapses, of playing games with this, This last time, because I'm just going to fast forward, but this last time, I really didn't lose everything, but I had hit an emotional bottom, I think, to where I just wanted to die, and the drugs and the alcohol weren't working. And I told my sponsor to just tell me what to do, and I'll do it this time, you know. And so then that meant obviously working the steps and getting commitments, and which I had gotten a few, but I never finished them, you know. And this time I got them, I finished them, and we did a thorough, you know, the 12 steps, we worked it thoroughly, and I did a thorough 4-step, and it's been 14 years, and what a life, man, what a life. And, you know, one thing I learned is I could lose it all. I don't even need to drink to blow it all up, you know, because the alcohol is a symptom, you know, of a much deeper issue that needs daily maintenance. It's not like I'm going to come in and clean up and get all my stuff together and I'm good, you know. I have to, I can talk myself into a drink. I can get a brilliant idea of just a week without meetings. You know what I mean? It only takes a week when this hamster wheel starts telling me some crazy stuff, you know. So because of that, I am really into the disciplines of 10 through 12, you know, all day, you know, I haven't missed a 10th step, and not that I do any of it perfectly, but, you know, my 11th step throughout the day, you know, the spot check inventories but the nightly inventory I haven't missed, you know, and the prayer and meditation in 11 has been a game changer, especially the last couple of years. I've really gotten into meditation. And I've learned, you know, it's just wild when you actually get quiet and see what's going on up here. Like, it's crazy, and I thought that was normal. And to, you know, witness that, and then be able to, you know, identify all these cast of characters that's in there, these masks that I wear in different places, these defense mechanisms that I've developed throughout my life. And to just shut those down and get back into the present with God, because that's where He is. He's, you know, when I get quiet, God's there. I can feel Him there, and man, that's been huge for me. And then of course 12 is the one, man. If all else fails, it says in the book, you know, like service. And my wife's out there with the kids. We're down here from, I live here and work here part-time, but we're down from Oregon, so I had to bring the wife and kids. But yeah, it's been amazing. If you're new, man, don't play games with this thing, man. Just try it for a year, you know what I mean? You won the lottery, you don't even know it. This is such a gift. Most alcoholics are gonna die. They won't even probably make it in the room. Yeah, you're in here, you got a chance. It's not asking a lot. It's an hour out of your day to go to a meeting, you know, sit down with your sponsor once a week, and just try it, you know. Again, it's not even about the alcohol and the drugs. It's about such a high quality of life that I didn't even know existed. It's the reason I drank. It is a sufficient substitute, like it says in the book, and I never would have believed that. But this program is amazing, you know. And when I don't do it, I'd almost rather be drunk, you know, because I have nothing to defend against this disease, these demons, man, that we have, you know. And that goes back to the first step, you know, that was my issue. I never really ingested that first step, that I'm different. Am I done?
No, that was one after.
Okay. Yeah, that was a foot? All right. I was like, what the hell is that? What kind of buzzer is that? I might not forgot what I was going to say, but anyway, first step. Yeah, knowing that, like, really believing, you know, deep down, it took so many years that I'm not like these other friends of mine. They could go drink and they don't got to send a search party out a week later. These guys, they go to work the next day. And I couldn't do that, you know, but I wanted that so bad. I looked like him. We grew up together. Why can he do it? I can do it, and I can't. And I proved it to myself for decades, you know. Like we're not normal, basically, you know, and that's okay. That's actually great. We're really creative, intelligent people, actually. But yeah, when I really internalized that, and I knew I was in trouble, I'm doomed. basically, you know? And I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. If I drink, if I don't. This was the only thing that made me feel comfortable in my own skin, but I had to do the work. I have to do it every day. It's not like a part-time thing for me. I got to be kind of militant about it. I'm sicker than most, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, you know, but I want more of this amazing life. It's not been perfect, but I haven't had to drink, you know, because of this program during the downtimes. But 90% of the time, it's pretty awesome, you know. I can look in the mirror, I feel good about myself, man. I feel excited about life, and that ain't never happened before I even picked up a drink. I was born like this, you know, with this disease. And so again, if you're new, man, just get a sponsor and try it out. Just try it out, you know. You don't got nothing to lose except your life or whatever. All right.
If you could all please join me in the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Okay, I just need to make one clarity. We're not having a group conscious. It's a business meeting on the 24th. Okay, it's at 6:30, and then at 7:30 we start the meeting, and instead of a 10-minute speaker, we have the elections. That's on the 24th. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jan. Thank you, Jan. Now, our main speaker will share his experience, strength, and hope with us. Please join me in welcoming Paul C. from San Pedro.
Nah. Paul Alcoholic. I got a sobriety date of April 2nd, 2019. I got a sponsor named Troy G. Hermosa Beach Men's Stag is my home group, and by the grace of a loving God and this program of action, honesty, and willingness, I have the honor and the privilege to be called a sponsor. I got a lot of opinions and a lot of ideas, but I'm going to read something out of the book. This is a chapter, bear with me, this is a chapter called A Chance to Live. It's page 316, one of the testimonies in the back. I'm convinced if I had continued on my course, I would not survive much longer. I don't believe I was smarter than anyone else, as I was often told by those who came in at a later age. It was my time, my chance to live, and I took it. If there had been still joy in my drinking, or even the remote chance of joy returning, I would not have stopped drinking when I did. No one who drank as I did wakes up at the edge of the abyss one morning and says, things look pretty scary. I think I better stop drinking before I fall in. I was convinced I could go as far as I wanted and then climb back out when it wasn't fun anymore. What happened was, I found myself at the bottom of the canyon thinking I'd never see the sun again. AA didn't pull me out of that hole. It did give me the tools to construct a ladder with 12 steps. Sobriety is nothing like I thought it would be. At first, it was one big emotional roller coaster, full of sharp highs, deep lows. My emotions were new, untested, and I wasn't entirely certain I wanted to deal with them. I cried when I should have been laughing. I laughed when I should have cried. Events I thought were the end of the world turned out to be gifts. It was all very confusing. Slowly, things began to even out as I began to take the steps of recovery. My role in the pitiful condition of my life became clear. If asked what the two most important things in recovery are, I would have to say willingness and action. I was willing to believe that AA was telling me the truth. I wanted to believe it was true in a way I cannot relate in words. I wanted this thing to work. Then I began to take the course of action prescribed. Following the principles laid out in the big book have not always been comfortable, nor will I claim perfection. I have yet to find a place in the big book that says, now you've completed the steps, have a nice life. The program is a plan for a lifetime of daily living. There have been occasions when the temptation to slack off is one. I view each of these as learning opportunities. When I am willing to do the right thing, I am rewarded with an inner peace no amount of liquor could ever provide. When I am unwilling to do the right thing, I become restless, irritable, and discontent. It is always my choice. Through the 12 steps, I've been granted the gift of choice. I am no longer at the mercy of a disease that tells me the only answer is to drink. If willingness is the key that unlocks the gates of hell, it is action that opens those doors so we may walk freely among the living. And those paragraphs right there are a clear and succinct summary of a lot of my experience in Alcoholics Anonymous. I say this every time I share because it's true to me, and I'm going to say it until it's not. Today, my life's absolutely flawless. It may not be as I deem it to be, it may not be as I see fit, but it's absolutely splendid. And that's a direct byproduct of good sponsorship in Alcoholics Anonymous, good mentorship through the big book Alcoholics Anonymous, and these principles implemented in my life. I get this amazing opportunity when I get to come participate in my own recovery. Keith, thank you for having me. He told me I was filling some big shoes, man. And yeah, but I'm not a perfect example of anything, man. I made a ton of mistakes, drunk and sober, but I wouldn't want to think of where my life would be without Alcoholics Anonymous. With that being said, I come from a loving family, a middle-class longshoreman family. I was raised by my grandparents, but at an early age, I was with my mother, and my mother was one of us. And, you know, at that age, at 4 or 5 years old, I saw things I shouldn't have seen at that age. I was privy to things I shouldn't have been. And one of the things I picked up at a very early age is I learned that if you feel bad, you take something or you drink something. And shortly after that, when I was about 6, I was with my mom all the time, and she went to prison. And I went to go live with my grandparents, and my brother and my sister had already been living with my grandparents. And when I got there, like Mike was talking about, I felt like I didn't fit, you know. They knew how to act, they knew how to be, and I just didn't. I felt like I was out of place. And then in the summer, I would go to my dad's house, and the same thing, my brothers and sisters there. They knew how to act, they knew how to be, and I just felt like I didn't fit. You know, a square peg in a round hole. Day late and a dollar short comes to mind. And I was always caught up in my head. I was restless, irritable, and discontent way before I picked up a drink, man. You know, I was always thinking about if you're thinking about me, what you're thinking about me. If you're not thinking about me, why you're not thinking about me. You know? And, you know, my mom gets out of prison, and shortly after, she ODs on heroin and dies. And I was angry. I was angry at God. I was angry at my family. I was angry at the world, man. And at a very young age, I learned that I could make you feel how I feel inside with these. And I used it a lot, and it got me in a lot of trouble. And fast forward a couple years, I remember it's Thanksgiving night, and my brother tells me, hey, my brother's 4 years older than me. And I'm 13 years old, and my brother goes, hey, you're going to come with us to the park after we eat. My brother never wanted to hang out with me. I was like, hell yeah, let's go. And if you think about it, if you give a non-alcoholic too much alcohol, he might throw up, might even throw up on himself, might even piss himself. That doesn't make him an alcoholic. That's what alcohol does to you. You could give a non-alcoholic too much alcohol at the bar, and if he drives home and gets pulled over, he'll probably get a DUI. That don't make him an alcoholic. That's what alcohol does to you. See, I'm here because of what alcohol did for me. And that first night, when I went to the park, they handed me a 40-ounce of Miller Genuine Draft. And halfway through that Miller Genuine Draft, the magic happened, man. You know, that restless irritability, that discontentment, it all just melted away. You know, everybody liked that Paul that came out that night. I liked that Paul that came out that night. You know, and there was a girl there. She was an older woman. She was 16. It was one of my brother's friends. And I had a crush on her, man. And like, she would hang out with my brother and them, and they'd be smoking weed in the backyard, and I'd walk in my backyard, and she'd be like, Paul, come here. You're so cute. Come here. And I couldn't talk to her. You know what I mean? And I'd be like, hi, and I'd walk in, and I'd tell myself in my head, next time she says something to you, this is what you're going to say. And that night, you know, I decided I was going to go talk to Layla. And I did. And I go over there, and I'm sitting with her, and everything's flowing. And she's looking at me like, where's this confidence come from? And I'm making her laugh, and we're having a good time, and I ended up holding Layla's hand that night. I ended up kissing Layla that night. The 9-step promises came about the first night I did it. You know, I found a new peace, a new happiness, a new freedom. I could intuitively handle things that once baffled me. And you know, there's a lot of drugs in my story. I love the effects produced by drugs. Drugs gave me an effect, and I love the effects produced by them. But alcohol gave me a spiritual experience. So in my later years, I let alcohol and drugs do way more to me on account of what they once did for me, man. And that first night, man, nobody had to go downtown and pick up dope. Nobody got stabbed. Nobody got shot. Nobody went to prison. Nobody OD'd. Nobody died. It was all going to happen, but it didn't happen that night, so I chased that. In our book, it talks about a sense of ease and comfort we get off of taking the first drink. And I learned early on in my sobriety that it's just a sense of ease and comfort. It's not real ease and comfort. Because I don't know about you guys. I've been in bad places doing bad things, feeling bad with bad people. And my life's on absolute fire. I'm out on bail on my second gun charge. Me and the girl of 9 years are done. I ain't spoken to my sons in 2 months. And my life's on absolute fire. And I get the bag, I get the bottle, and I get a sense of ease and comfort. And you know how I know this disease centers in my mind? Is I don't even have to put the chemical in my body, and I get a sense of ease and comfort. The liquor store could be opening up in 5 minutes, and I get a sense of ease and comfort. I could call my dude on the phone, and he says, Paul, I got what you want, come pick it up. And I get a sense of ease and comfort. But it's fake. It's fraudulent. It's temporary. Because as soon as the bag is gone, as soon as the bottle's gone, I'm sober, I'm back in reality, and my life's on fire again. But you guys have shown me a process to find real ease and comfort. And I'm learning that I have to walk through the door of inconvenience and the door of discomfort to get to that freedom on the other side. And I want you guys to all do something with me. Everybody cross their arms. Now cross them the other way. You feel that? Feels uncomfortable. Like your brain's telling you, go back. That's not the way we do things. See, what you're experiencing right now is called cognitive dissonance. This happens every time we try to change our life for the better. Because our brain's going to always go back to the known, even if it's not good for you. But you guys have taught me that I have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I hear people in their stories, and they say they lost the car, the job, the house, to drugs and alcohol. And this is just semantics, but I don't believe I lost anything to drugs and alcohol. I believe I gave things away and I pushed things away that got in the way of me drinking and using how I want to drink and use. My self-respect, my dignity, give that away so I could perpetuate a lifestyle that had me having the things that I need to have to feel the way I need to feel at all times. Living in direct contrast to my conscience. And me living in direct contrast to my conscience, anything in a 10-foot radius with me in the center of it gets hurt. My family, my kids, myself, the state of California. The relationship of 9 years. Pushed that away. Because she didn't want me living the lifestyle I was living. She didn't want me driving around all night long with a gun on my lap selling drugs. And no matter how much I say I love you and how much I say I care about you, if you're getting in the way of the way I need to feel, you got to go. The relationship with my sons, man. It just took a little bit too much time for me to go down to San Diego and actually be present in their life and be a father. I thought being a father was paying child support and getting them shoes and getting them school clothes. I thought that was being a father. I was a weekend dad at best, if that. And my freedom, give that away. I remember I'm out on bail, and I remember walking into court. I'm in the parking lot at Torrance Court, and I just did a shot of heroin in the parking lot. And I go up at like 9:15. I walk in like a hurricane, like I'm here. The bailiff has to tell me to take my hat off, take the cigarette out my ear, and take my shades off. And I probably look like I got slapped with the greasy pork chop because I had been up all night tweaking, you know what I mean? And the judge calls my case, and he's like, Mr. Chavez, what am I going to do with you? Because you haven't showed up for court on time once, man. Do I have to revoke your bail? And I'm going to tell him anything he needs to hear to get him off my back. You know what I mean? I even lied to him and told him I was on a waiting list to get into into Fred Brown's in San Pedro. I never even called Fred Brown's. But I continue on my course, and I'm doing the things I'm doing, and I got the bright idea that, you know, I'm not going to sell drugs because I'm not going to pay what you guys pay. I'm not going to buy drugs. I'm going to sell them because I'm not going to pay what you guys pay. And I go to Crystal Park Casino, and I'm going to pick up a bunch of dope for my dude. And so I drop off the money to him. He goes, I'm going to go pick up. I'll be back in a little bit. And I go, all right. I go, I'm going to go grab something to eat right here off the 91. I went to the Carl's Jr. right there. And I pull in there. I get my burger, my fries, and I eat. And I'm sitting there, and I had this overwhelming feeling for the first time in my life to stop doing what I'm doing, man. You know, and I'm sitting there with the needle in my hand, and I'm crying. I'm crying because I don't want to do it, but I'm also crying because I know I'm going to do it, man. That jumping off point that the book talks about, where I can't live with it and I can't live without it. See, I got a body that can't live with the drugs and alcohol, but I got a mind that tells me I can't live without it. And I'm banging on my steering wheel, yelling at God, either kill me or stop me. And God showed up in the form of a Compton sheriff, man. And, you know, that gift of desperation was short-lived. Because now I'm sitting in the holding tank thinking, God, this is the deal we made, bro. You know? But they revoked my bail. And it's funny how when you get arrested, all of a sudden warrants start popping up. So now I got a case in Compton, I got a case in Torrance, and I got a case in Long Beach. And I go to the county, and I'm kicking a 2.5 gram a day habit, man. And I'm kicking bad. And they finally send me to go see my public defender at Torrance Court. And I haven't slept in probably like 2 weeks, just kicking. And I go in, and she comes in. I'm on the other side of the glass, and she comes in, and she sits down for me. And she's got my paperwork in her hand, and she looks at me, and it was crazy. As soon as she walked in the room, she had these endearing eyes. The way she looked at me, I trusted her instantly. And she looked at me, and I picked my head up, and she goes, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." And she sits down across the glass from me, and she starts asking me, "Mr. Chavez, what do you want out of this?" She goes, "They found a 40 millimeter Glock on you. They found 6 grams of heroin. They found 3 syringes full of heroin. They found 6 grams of methamphetamine and a pipe full of meth in it. What do you want out of this?" And guilt, shame, remorse, but like safety in this woman. I don't know why. I looked at her with tears in my eyes, and I go, "You know what? I'm guilty of all that. I sell drugs because I do drugs. And I'm afraid that if I get out of here and I don't get help, I'm going to use again, and I don't want to." And this lady took her glasses off and looked at me, and she goes, "Do you trust me?" And I go, "For some reason, I do." She goes, "If I get you the right if we get the right DA, I'm going to get you what you want, because I'm all about rehabilitation." And she goes, "But we're going to have to fight this." And I go, "I got nothing but time." She was like, "All right." And so I go back to the county jail, and I don't know if any of you guys ever been in Wayside fighting cases, but I'm up in Wayside now. And like I said, I had a case in Compton, case in Torrance, and I'm fighting all my cases. And, you know, they wake you up at 3 in the morning. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You're sitting in cells all day long. You know, you go and see the judge, come back about 11 o'clock at night. They hand you 2 burritos, and then you do it again the next day. And my little sister, man, God bless her heart, man, my little sister was going to every single one of my court cases. She was rallying my family. She was like, "Paul's looking at a lot of time. We need to go see him." And I'm talking to her on the phone, and I'm about to go to court. And it's funny because I've been there for a couple months now, and I'm doing burpees with the homies. I'm spreading. I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I'm starting to think, you know what I mean? And everybody in the county jail is a freaking lawyer. Everybody's going to tell you what you're going to get, you know, this and that. "Oh, you'll get this. If you just take this, this is what you're going to get." And I'm listening to them, and I'm listening to my head, and my head's telling me, "You got this. You got this." And I call my little sister, and And I tell her, you know what, Lou, I'm just going to take my time and get to where I need to get. I'm tired, man. I don't want to do this no more. And she starts crying on the phone. She goes, Paul, my daughters absolutely adore you, man. How are you going to be in their lives if you're doing prison time? What do you know what I mean? And she goes, this lady's fighting for you, Paul. She's fighting for you. And this lady was fighting for me. I've paid attorneys a lot of money to fight cases. And this this overworked, underpaid public defender was fighting for me. She really was. And I go, we'll see, Lou. We'll see what's going on. So I go to court that day. And this is how God shows up in my life. I go into court. My sister's there, my brother-in-law, a bunch of people are there. And I'm in municipal court. I still got to go upstairs. It's a felony. I know this judge doesn't have no say over my case. But my sister doesn't know nothing about the judicial system. She's never been in it, thank God. And I'm sitting there, and the judge asked my public defender, what are you looking to get for Chavez? And she goes, probation in the program. And the judge straight laughed. He's not getting probation in the program. He's got, I don't know how many counts of possession of a controlled substance for sale. This is his second gun charge. He's got an assault with a deadly back, and just starts reading my rap sheet off. And I'm looking at my little sister, and I see the hope pour out of her. And she starts crying, and I'm looking at her, and I'm trying to tell her, Lou, they ain't got no, you know what I mean? And the deputy stands in front of me, turn around. And I feel about this big sitting in that chair. Because we don't see how we hurt the people around us until we actually see how we hurt the people around us, man. And I heard my grandparents' voice in my head, man, you don't let a hair get harmed on that little girl's head. She's a princess. And she's sitting there crying for the choices I made in my life. And so I go back into the cell after court, and I had been in the program before. I had tried this before, just fellowshipping, and it didn't work. But the only prayer I remembered was a third step prayer, and I got on my knees and I said it. And I didn't have a white light moment, and I didn't have a burning bush moment or anything, but I went back to my dorm that night and I slept like a baby. So I'd get up every morning and just be like, thy will be done, not mine. Whatever you want me to do, God. Whatever you want me to do. And about 4 months later, I'm walking in on a one man in the court. My public defender's sitting there, and she's got a smile ear to ear. And I walk in, I go, what's up, Liz? She goes, you're going to the Salvation Army. You got court ordered for, you're going to do a year in the Salvation Army. I was like, what? She goes, yeah. So as soon as I got there, man, I got a sponsor. And, you know, I had a lot of misconceptions and a lot of old ideas when I got there, you know. And my sponsor, like, when we'd go to the outside meetings in the beginning, I'd share. And I'd be like, oh, when I got to the program, and that was one of his pet peeves. And he'd tell me afterwards, he goes, you know what? You don't get to the program, Paul. You get to the fellowship. The program is in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's the 12 steps. That's the fellowship you get to. Stop saying that. And he embedded that in me from the gate, you know what I mean? And now it's kind of my pet peeve when people say that. You know what I mean? But I remember him sitting across from me and him asking me, he was like, well, Paul, let me get to know you. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What's going on? And I was like, well, I need to get my job back down on the docks. I need to get my girl back. I need to register my truck. I need to get my sons back in my life. And he was like, why are you telling me this? I was like, well, I'm telling you my problems, bro. He goes, nah, those aren't problems, man. Those are consequences. See, you've been trying to fix your consequences your whole life, and you haven't looked at the real problem. Come to find out, the real problem was me. You know, I came here looking for relief. And what I came looking for, I came looking with, man. You know, I don't have a drinking and using problem. I have a spiritual unrest problem. I have an issue with reality problem. I use drugs and alcohol as a coping mechanism to solve that problem. You know, I didn't know a lot of things about this. I didn't know I was looking for a solution to a spiritual sickness I didn't know I had. And I didn't know when I put drugs and alcohol in my body, I was trying to overcome an obsession I had no control over. You know, my sponsor would tell me things. He goes, you're a thinker, bro. He goes, Paul, you think you're your thoughts, don't you? I'm like, yeah, they come for me. And he's like, nah, man, you're just an idiot that listens to them. Yeah. And isn't that true, man? I thought my thoughts came from me. They come to me, you know what I mean? It's just like surrender. Surrender doesn't come from you, it comes to you. But, and my sponsor, I remember me and him were reading in the big book, and he stops me, dead sentence. I'm reading, and he goes, Paul, you know this isn't about you no more, right? And I was like, Curtis, what are you talking about? And he goes, yeah, this isn't about you no more. I go, okay, well, what are you talking about? I go, dude, I'm on my second step. What are you talking about, bro? He goes, how did you feel when you got here, bro? I go, I was uncomfortable. He goes, well, how do you feel now? I go, I feel pretty good, man. He goes, perfect. You're the perfect guy for the job. What I need you to do is when the new guy walks in here, I need you to walk up and introduce yourself and tell him how you felt when you got here and tell him how you feel now. And the guy sitting over in the corner that looks like he's by himself, go sit with him a little while and convince him he's not. And I started to do that. I started to get out of this. And thank God for good sponsorship, man. You know, thank God for that. Because I started to get out of my head, because when I'm helping you, I'm not thinking about me. Because that's all I do is think about me. And, you know, I remember calling him up and bitching and complaining about the dudes there. I'd be like, you know what, dude? There's a bunch of J-Cats in here. I'm going to crack this dude in the mouth. And he'd be like, have you helped another alcoholic today? And I would look at the phone and go, what? And he'd hang up on me. And, you know, I live my life forward and learn it backwards, you know what I mean? And what he was teaching me was I don't need to wait to feel good to help another alcoholic. I need to help another alcoholic to feel good. And, you know, I had some of the best times in that at the Salvation Army. You know, we would sit in the smoke pit and have those belly laughs. And I thought I was having a good time when I was getting loaded out there. And I couldn't remember the last time I laughed like that. And I remember me and my buddy were sitting in the smoke pit one day. And I'm telling him a story. I'm like, I don't know about you guys. When I used to do speed and drink, I used to get a little weird. I used to get a little freaky-deaky, you know? And I was telling my buddy a story. I was like, you know, me and this girl were hanging out and we're twisting the pookie. We're doing our thing. And towards the middle of the evening, she looks over at me and she goes, I want you to take off my panties. And he went, what? She said that? What did you do? I go, I took them off. They didn't fit me anyways. But you guys are all sick. You guys are all sick because you guys all just pictured me standing there in a G-string right now. I thought you guys, I guess I have to leave you guys with something, huh? But no, you know what? And then when I got out of the Salvation Army, I went to rehab. And, you know, I don't know if maybe it's just me, but I was on Tinder and I was swiping right when I should have been swiping left. And I ended up going out on a date. And me and this girl, we go out on a date and we're sitting down and we're about to order our drinks and the waiter walks over and she orders a margarita and I order a iced tea. She goes, you're not going to drink? I go, I don't drink. She goes, never? I go, never. She goes, why not? I go, just put it this way, bad things happen when I drink. And then the waiter brings the drinks and she goes, what would happen if you took one drink of this? And I go, just imagine waking up in the morning and not knowing where your car is, not knowing where your car keys are, your wallet, your money, your phone. She goes, oh my God, all that would happen to you if you took one drink? And I go, no, all that would happen to you if I took one drink. Hence, there was no second date. But you know what? Some of the blessings and some of the gifts that we get here, for me, have happened through pain and loss. And my godmother, about 2 years ago, she was in the hospital. My sister calls me and she goes, you need to go see your Nina. She's at Torrance Memorial. And I go, all right. So I go there and I walk in, I'm sitting there with my Nina, and she's like, look, mijo, they found some polyps, and I'm not going to let them do surgery, and I seen what your grandmother went through with ovarian cancer, and I'm not going to go through that. She goes, I'm 75 years old. She goes, I lived a good life. My kids are taken care of. I'm not going to leave here. This is the last blood transfusion they're going to give me. And I held her hand, and I got to sit there with her, and we talked about the afterlife, what I thought it was, what she thought it was, and I told her, the only thing I know, Nina, is I'm going to miss you. That's all I know. And I told her I'm going to come back every day. And she was like, Hammer. My family called me Hammer growing up. And she was like, Hammer, you don't need to. I go, but I want to. And so we sat there and we watched TV with each other. I was there for about 2.5 hours, and then I leave there and I got my mask on and I get in the elevator. And I just break down. You know, to see someone that you love that much, she was like a second mother to me. Deteriorating like that, you know what I mean? And I just broke down. One of those ugly cries, you know, snot all up in the mask, and people were getting on the elevator, and I'm over here crying, sniveling. And I leave there and I call my sponsor. And I'm like, Troy, I go, this is what's going on with my Nina. He goes, well, you're going to go back tomorrow, right? I go, yeah, I'm going to go back tomorrow. So I go to work the next day, and I'm driving back to Torrance Memorial, and I'm pulling in, and I pull up in the parking structure, and everything in me tells me, don't go in there. Why do you want to go in there? Why do you want to make yourself feel this way? Why are you going to put yourself through this? And I park my truck, and I call my sponsor, and I'm like, Troy, I don't want to go in there. My sponsor tells me, Paul, it's not about you. It's about you going in there and being there for her and showing her how much you love her. And I go, all right, bro. And then he gave me one of his experiences with his family members. Same thing, you know what I mean? And I walk in there, and now my whole family's in there. Like, there's like 35 people in the waiting room, and they're letting 4 people in going at a time. And my cousin Marla comes out, and she goes, Paul, go in there. And I walk in, and I'm walking down the hall, and as soon as I turn the corner, my Nina sees me, and she perks up, and she smiles. She goes, Hammer, you made it back. And my cousin Gina tells me, she goes, Paul, she ain't smiled all day. And I would have missed out on that. I would have missed out on that if I would have let my head tell me what it was telling me. That's why sponsorship's so important, man. I would have missed out on that if I would have listened to my head, man. And I got to go in the waiting room, and I got to be there for my family, man. They would ask me, Paul, how are you? And I go, forget about me. How are you? And I got to let them tell me how they were, and they got to cry on my shoulder. And that's not the Paul they know. The Paul they know would have been in a hotel room with a needle in his arm, feeling sorry for himself because his Nina's dying, making it about me and not about her. And the last day she was in the hospital, she was in a morphine-induced coma. And they didn't think she was going to make it through the night. And I get there a little bit late, and my whole family, now they let the whole family go in the room, and they're waiting for me. And I walk in, and my cousin looks at me. She goes, Paul, we know you're in a spiritual program. Will you pray over our mom? And I got to do that, man. I got to do that. Because you guys showed me how to suit up and show up, man. You guys got to show me. You guys taught me to show up even when I don't want to and it's uncomfortable, man. And that happened through loss, pain, sadness, man. But you know what? When I was leaving there was a peace that was inside of me that don't come from me. It's got to come from God, man. And a little bit, about 6 months earlier than that, my son OD'd on fentanyl. And they brought him back and everything like that. And I go into 12-step mode. I had probably like 3 years sober 3.5 years sober at the time, and I'm helping a bunch of guys, and I'm taking guys through the steps, and I'm doing all this stuff, and I think I'm gonna fix my son, because I'm emotionally charged. That's my son. I'm gonna do this for him. You know what I mean? I got it. And I start telling my son where he needs to do, where he needs to be, what he shouldn't do, and what he can't do, and I start telling him all this stuff. And my son starts pushing away from me, man. He starts pulling away from me. And me and his mom threw a bunch of money at it, got him insurance, and because he had just turned 26, and I tried to put him on my insurance, and I couldn't because he was too old. So I got him insurance, and me and his mom put him in a bougie-ass rehab in Laguna Hills. And he was supposed to be there for, I think, 60 days, and he stayed there for 7 days, got prescribed Suboxone, and hit the streets of San Diego. And I was in a lot of fear at that time, man. And he would call me every once in a while, like, Dad, I'm hungry. And I would cash app him some money, and then I would try to call him, and he would just ghost me. And I was walking into my old home group and my original sponsor. I walk in, and I guess I look like shit, man. He goes, man, Paul, you look like fucking crap. What's going on, man? And I told him what's going on. He goes, look, what I need you to do right now is I need you to text your son and tell him you love him. You will always be here for him, but you can't send him another penny. That was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, man. Because my head goes to the worst place, that he's in an alley somewhere starving, and he's this, you know what I mean? That's where my head goes to. And thank God I take sponsored direction. And, you know, like I said in the beginning of my share, I made a ton of mistakes, drunk and sober. And with like 4 years sober, I started going out with a newcomer. She had like 7, 8 months. And after a couple months, I knew it wasn't working, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to plan my escape, and I'm trying to get out of it, you know what I mean? I'm trying to do my thing, and I'm like, but see, I'm self-centered. I'm thinking, you know what? If I break up with her, she has less time. She'll probably go out. Yeah, I can't do that. So, you know what I mean? I got to ease out of this. And she takes her year cake, and about a month after, she breaks up with me. And it's crazy because this is how my mind thinks. If I don't want something and you tell me I can't have it, you know what I mean? And like the book says, even when I'm being nice, I'm still trying to get what I want. You know what I mean? And it was eating my lunch. Like, you can't quit me. What you mean? But it was eating my lunch. And I would go to meetings, and it was crazy because people would walk up to me, and I felt like I was being dishonest to you guys. I'd walk into a meeting, and it's eating my lunch, and people would be like, how you doing? I'm like, oh, man, I'm good. Oh, yeah, you know? And my buddy Matt threw a Halloween party, and I went to it. It was a couple years back. And go to this Halloween party, and there's people trying to talk to me. And for the first time in Alcoholics Anonymous, man, did I feel out of place. Because I'm up in my head, and people are trying to talk to me, and I'm thinking about this girl, and I'm thinking about what she's doing. She just went to an NA convention. That's why she broke up with me. You know what I mean? All this crazy stuff, you know? And I go outside, and it's a full moon, and I remember looking up at the moon, and I go, dude, I'm going to bounce. And I leave, and my buddy Matt calls me, and it's his party. He's hosting the party. And he goes, where'd you go, dude? And I go, oh, man, I had to get out of there, and I got honest with him. This is what's going on. And he goes, dude, I seen that look on your face, bro. He goes, I've never seen that before, Paul. He goes, well, why don't you try this, dude? Why don't you try getting honest with your sponsor? I was like, yeah, those are the type of people I need around me. Tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. And the next morning, I call my sponsor, man. And I go, hey, Troy, I need to come up and talk to you. And he goes, come up, man. Put a pot of coffee on. You know what I mean? And so I go up there, and I start telling Troy all these things I don't want to say, because I think I'm on the spiritual mountaintop. I'm helping all these guys, you know what I mean? And I shouldn't be thinking like, and I tell him, and the more I'm telling him, the more he's lighting up, and his face is getting redder, and then he breaks out, and he starts laughing. And I look at him, and I go, what's so funny? He goes, yeah, you got what I got, bro. And I'm like, and so, you know, and he's got a great way of asking me questions that, if I'm being honest, I see where self-centered fear is popping up. You know, I see me in it. And we sat there, and we went back, looked at my 4th step and my sex conduct, and we looked at a lot of things, and I did another inventory. And he goes, okay, I want you to go home and meditate for a little while, relax. And I go, all right. So I go home, and I got to shut my head off for a little while. You know what I mean? I'm laying on my bed, and I just did some breath work and had a great meditation. It's crazy how when you open up and you're not hiding things, like they say, you're only as sick as your secrets. You know what I mean? And I got relief from doing some inventory and seeing my part in things. And this is how God shows up in my life. I get up for my meditation. As soon as I get up for my meditation, my phone rings, and it's my son, Corey. And I'm like, what's up, my boy? And he's like, what's up, Dad? And I go, what are you doing? He goes, are you sleeping? I go, nah, man, I just got up from a meditation, son. I go, what's going on? He goes, well, Dad, I'm just calling to remind you that I'm coming up on my year. And I want to come up to your home group, and I want you to give me a cake. And we sat there and we talked, and we're having a good conversation. I go, you know what, Corey? From where you were to where you're at today, I'm so proud of you. And he goes, Dad, that's not me, that's God. I needed my son to remind me that, man. And we get off the phone, and I have a moment of clarity. And a moment of clarity has best been described to me as a moment God paralyzes the liar in my head long enough for me to hear the truth. You know? And the truth was, when I take my hands off of things and I let God do what he's going to do, it works out way better than I could possibly imagine it, man. When I start getting involved and I get in the way of things and I just start, you know what I mean, and I start making it how I think. See, because I'm constantly obsessed with my preferences. God's will is what is. And I can't even experience that because I'm always thinking about what it should be. And I block myself off from that, you know? And, you know, I told you guys in the beginning that I was angry at my family and God and the world. Well, when the week before my mom died, she came to the house and she was loaded. It was on her birthday. And she tried to come pick up me and my sister. And my grandmother wouldn't let us go with her. And she's crying, I'm crying. And my grandmother's like, Jake, you're not going to take them. You're loaded. You're not going to take them. She goes, Mom, it's my birthday. I just want to see my kids. She goes, no, you could stay here with them, but you're not going to take them. And that was the last time I saw my mom. And I had a resentment towards my grandmother for years, man. I had a resentment towards her. And you know, when I was like 24, my grandma was fighting cancer. And she was doing chemotherapy. And she had called me one day and she goes, Hammer, Grandma told you when she would get her chemotherapy, she'd feel good for like a week. So she'd get up and clean the house and cook. And she goes, I'm going to cook right now. She goes, bring a 12-pack down and come down here. So I went to her house, and me and her were sitting there drinking, and, you know, she looks over at me. She goes, Hammer, she goes, when you were a kid, why didn't you ever come up? Why weren't you affectionate like your brother and sister? And I told her, I go, because after my mom died, I was angry with you. You didn't let me go with my mom. My grandmother looked at me, and she goes, you know what, Paul? That was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, to tell my daughter she couldn't take her kids on her birthday. But I was looking out for you guys because she was loaded. And me and her had a good talk, me and my grandmother. And you know what? There was some healing done there. There was some healing done there. But it wasn't until I did my 4-step, man. It wasn't until I did a 4-step and I got to see my part where I was wrong. It wasn't until I did my 4-step and saw all the beautiful things that woman did for me, man. But I couldn't see them through my resentment. You know, and how much more time do I have?
4 minutes.
What? And so, you know what's crazy is I got a lot of friends and a lot of family members that never step foot in these rooms, but they absolutely love you guys, man, because you're giving them their father back, their brother, their uncle, their dad. You know, about 2 years ago, me and my oldest boy, Christian, and if you guys knew my oldest son, man, he's straight, he's a man's man. Don't cry, don't, you know what I mean, how we got taught growing up, you know. And I guess I was part of that, teaching them that you don't show emotions or anything like that. That's crap. But we're sitting there, me, him, and his girlfriend are eating breakfast down in Carlsbad, and we're having a great conversation. We're having a good time. And my son looks up at me with tears in his eyes. And I look at him, and it threw me off a little. I was like, "What's up, my boy?" And he goes, "I got my dad back." And I never knew I was a gift, man. I never knew I was a gift. So if I spend the rest of my life trying to repay Alcoholics Anonymous by paying it forward, I wouldn't even scratch the surface, man. This program's giving me a new life, because I didn't want my old one back, man. You guys got my son sober. I couldn't do it. You guys did it. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. Thank you for letting me share.